And we're back with Richard Reviews. Today we're reviewing a book for richardreviews.com/GriffinChestnut here on YouTube. This is Richard's personal page where he reviews all of his books, all of his movies, his diabetic forums, all of his Reddit posts, and everything that he's done, including video games and music and TV shows. Today's book that Richard will be reviewing for us is, of course, titled The Last Colony by John Scalzi. This is the New York Times bestselling author. It is captivating according to Booklist, and this is the sequel to Old Man's War and The Ghost Brigades, both pieces that Richard has read and reviewed, and you can click the link in the bio to see those. Richard has read most of this work while doing experimental work in the wilderness, doing a lot of nature calls outside of his hometown near Schenectady, New York, in the upstate region, near the Adirondack mountain range, in order to study psychedelics of the altered state of mind. Richard obtained this piece in 2014, and he completed reading it in that same year of 2014. He compares this book to the book Waking from Sleep from Steve Taylor, Why Awakening Experiences Occur and How to Make Them Predict. This is about how people sense their self and the reality, and the radical transformations about how these people ultimately form their stylistic point of views. And Richard's going to talk about that and how he got into what makes a shaman typically do what a shaman typically does. This piece, once again, follows our main character, John Perry. Although he is an old man, hence the title Old Man's War, John Perry has done a lot of work in the scientific realm. So, to make it adaptive, there is subject to self-conception. Now, we're going to take a look at this piece here. This is Richard's piece. Before we talk about the subplot, the plot, the characters, everything else, this is an official Richard piece. He purchased this piece from a private seller, and this is now his piece. So we're going to talk about the condition of the piece, which, from the looks of it, is very good. It is premium girth, okay, and it is soft cover, as you can tell. It's got that good bend to it, and it's got a good wave. This is one of the best waves that Richard has on his channel, but it will not be lasting, okay? This is a collector's edition and a substantial box set condition memorabilia. So take that in for what it's worth, and we're going to take a look at the condition. So at the top, we have a little crack here. This looks like it's fallen off. Maybe we can, maybe Richard can synchronize this back on to some sort of filament. He has the material. He has done it before, so he might be able to do it again. Let's take a look here. We have really good film brim. This is good trim right along the edges. Really clean trim. Even on this side, more clean trim. Good grime. Good grime and nice cream. More clean trim along the side. More clean trim. And you get a real picture of the trim that's enveloped here. Nice clean trim. Pure trim. It's a pattern trim that follows through. And on this side we have The Last Colony, more good condition, John Scalzi, best-selling author. The Publishing Book Club, and again we have this piece that Richard can possibly fill out with his brim. Okay, so the back, of course we have John Perry here, and this will bring out to the overall piece on its own. We have the barcode down here, some artwork, and the formidable mention, of course, the praise, which Richard describes as undeserved praise for this piece. And the price is right here, $7.99 US and $9.99 Canadian. So, as a piece right there from the book club publishing company, you can tell that it is a very cheap book. And as for the condition of the book, it is very well. Here is a picture, actually, of Mr. John Scalzi himself. That is the author. Okay. There he is, if we can get a close-up. So, we have, apparently, this piece has 3 barcodes on it. 1 barcode here, 1 barcode here, and 1 barcode here. This goes into the fact of really cheap publishing. Okay, this, the cheap price along with the cheap publishing should have given Richard a hint about what he was getting into with this, along with, of course, the prequels to this, the Ghost Brigades and Old Man's War. There's an enhanced insight that Richard follows in terms of selecting his pieces, and this is where the tables turned for him in a way that actually clicked him backwards and made his choices in the negative zone. This piece, The Last Colony, is a poor book. Richard reviews this very poorly. This is one of the last pieces that he will ever read from Mr. John Scalzi. He has read about 6 or 7 of his pieces now, and they seem to get worse and worse throughout the participation of his books. He will not be completing the Old Man's War set he has read up until now, and his participation in this very annoying author, especially annoying main character, Mr. John Perry, Richard will no longer continue with. With that being said, everything in here is fabricated to the most amateur extent. Mr. John Scalzi has a rock star image of himself where he's a super terrorist, and he considers himself an individual of the psychic power, whereas in reality, Richard identifies the very scared notion and the amateur basis of such a writer, that he basically has a placebo effect of his 40% of medication stills. Richard will not be keeping this piece in his collection. This piece will be shunned away, and if nobody in the comment section claims it, Richard will ultimately make sure that this piece ends up in the dumpster. Richard is not a fan of John Scalzi. This is one of his most hated pieces. He cannot recommend the fact that anybody watching does not go out and purchase John Scalzi. The fact that this piece has 3 barcodes and is priced so low should have been red flags for Mr. Richard, and Mr. Richard does not enhance or enlighten the opportunity to give this man any more business and cooperation for his resisting, beautifully successful skills as an author in today's society. The 21st century has seen a lot of great authors, and unfortunately John Scalzi is not one of them. He continues to flood the market by manipulating the media and showing that he is an author of these epic space catalogs, trying to emulate Star Wars or Dune in this very fabricated fantasy world conducted by John Scalzi himself. A lot of world-building enthusiasts claim that John Scalzi is making a leap in boundaries, but what Richard sees is basically just a lot of copied stuff from Frank Herbert, George Lucas, and even Willow, the Disney animated feature film, with an undisturbed amount of publicity. This is the wizard, this is the wise person. John Scalzi is neither of them. So that's it for Richard Reviews. This is Richard Reviews, reviewing this piece, The Last Colony, by John Scalzi. This is Richard Reviews. Thank you.